Ever felt like you're trying to achieve some huge goal, but it's not just one project. It's more like you're conducting this whole orchestra, right?
Hmm.
With tons of moving parts, each with its own team, its own timeline, all needing to work together perfectly. What if there was like a definitive guide for that?
Yeah.
For making all those complex pieces work together for a really massive win? Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're cracking open the Standard for Program Management, 5th edition. It's from the Project Management Institute, PMI. You probably know them. And look, this isn't some dry textbook. It's really the key guide for anyone looking to understand how organizations optimize benefits and actually hit those big strategic goals.
Exactly. Our mission here for this deep dive is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from this source. We'll get clearer on what a program truly is, how it's different from, say, individual projects or even those wider portfolios, and, crucially, understand the guiding principles and the practical approaches that make program management so vital for delivering complex, sustained value.
Yeah, think of this as your shortcut to being really well-informed on a critical business discipline. We'll cover some surprising facts, maybe a little humor to keep you hooked. Make sure you walk away with those aha moments, but without feeling, totally overwhelmed. So let's unpack this. Okay, so when we talk about program management, it sounds so much like project management.
Mm-hmm.
But the standard is really clear. They're not the same thing. So what is a program, fundamentally? What makes it different?
Right, good place to start. So the standard defines a program as related projects, subsidiary programs, and program activities, managed in a coordinated manner to obtain benefits not available from managing them individually. The absolute key phrase there is coordinated manner to get benefits not available individually.
Coordinate. Okay, so it's not just a random collection of projects. It's a coordinated effort where the sum is actually greater than its parts. Is that the idea?
Absolutely. That's the core of it. The main purpose is delivering benefits. And these benefits, they can range from, improving what you already do, implementing some big change, or creating new products, developing market opportunities, even minimizing losses sometimes. It's less about the sheer size of the work and more about the type of relationships between all the pieces and those unique benefits you only get because they're integrated.
Okay, that helps clarify. Can you maybe give us an example, like how do these components actually fit together inside a program?
Sure, certainly. Let's imagine a program to develop a completely new electric car. This main program, it might actually sponsor smaller subsidiary programs, maybe one focused on developing a brand new motor technology, another on breakthrough battery tech, maybe another on charging stations.
Okay, so programs within the program.
Exactly. Each of those could be managed as a program itself, but they're still overseen as components of the main car development program. Then within those, you'd have individual projects like designing and building the specific assembly line for the car. And then once that assembly line is built and running, that becomes an operational activity. It's sort of outside the program's defined time frame then.
That makes a lot of sense, that nesting idea. Now, you mentioned projects and portfolios earlier. How do programs really stand apart from those? Because the lines can seem blurry.
They can, yeah.
Yeah.
The standard clarifies the distinctions based on two main things: relatedness and time.
Relatedness and time. Okay.
So first, relatedness. In a program, the components are truly interdependent. Think of them like links in a chain or maybe organs in a body. Achieving the full intended benefits absolutely depends on delivering all the components within the program's scope. They rely on each other.
Okay, interdependent.
Right. Now, contrast that with a portfolio. That's more like a collection of work grouped together to hit strategic objectives, sure. But the individual things within it, they might be totally independent of each other. They might just share the same resource pool or maybe the same client, but they don't necessarily need each other's outputs to succeed.
Okay, that's a clear difference. And the second thing was time.
Yes, time. Programs, just like projects, are temporary. They have a defined beginning and a planned endpoint. Even if that endpoint is years or sometimes even decades down the line, it's meant to finish.
Right.
A portfolio, though, that's typically ongoing, it's not really expected to end on a specific date. It's more like an ongoing collection of investments that gets reviewed and adjusted regularly.
Gotcha.
So if you're looking at some big initiative, ask yourself, are its parts really interdependent for a specific collective benefit? And does it have a defined end? If the answer is yes to both, you're probably looking at a program.
That's a really useful litmus test for people listening. Okay, so moving on. This new 5th edition is described as principle-led. What does that actually mean in practice, and what are these core principles guiding program management?
Good question. Being principle-led means the standard identifies 8 fundamental norms, truths, or values. These aren't just rigid rules. They're meant to guide the behaviors and actions of everyone involved in the program. They shape how the work gets done, the culture. Let's maybe touch on a few key ones that offer some really fascinating insights.
Okay, let's start with synergy. That sounds like the secret sauce, right? Making programs more than just the sum of their parts.
Yeah.
How do they suggest achieving that?
Yeah, synergy sounds a bit buzzwordy sometimes, but here it's quite specific. The principle pushes for a structured or agile approach that really blends good practices from both project and program management. The goal is to enable the program to accomplish more than its individual components ever could alone.
Okay, so it's about actively making it happen.
Exactly. It involves continually evaluating, navigating the complexities between components, really focusing on optimizing the whole program, even if, and this is key, even if that means creating new components or maybe canceling others or changing them significantly midstream.
Wow, okay, so it's dynamic.
Very. It's about fostering the right conditions, the culture where collaboration really thrives.
That's powerful and potentially challenging in big organizations with silos, I imagine.
Oh, definitely. Breaking down those silos is often a huge part of enabling synergy.
Okay, what about benefits realization? This feels like the ultimate why behind any program. How does the standard ensure that focus remains sharp?
Right. Benefits realization is central. This principle means you absolutely must consistently focus on the program outcomes, and crucially, making sure those outcomes align with the organization's strategy.
Always tying back to strategy.
Always. And benefits, they can be tangible, financial gains, market share, or intangible, like better employee morale, stronger brand reputation.
Mm-hmm.
What's fascinating and maybe a bit surprising is when these benefits can be realized. Sometimes it's incremental throughout the program. Think of a process improvement initiative. You get benefits as each process gets standardized.
Okay, drip by drip.
Exactly. Or sometimes benefits are delivered all at once, right at the very end, like a complex drug development program. The full benefit only really comes after testing, approval, patient treatment, all that.
Right, big bang delivery.
Precisely. And critically, the standard emphasizes that benefits need to be transitioned into ongoing operations and then tracked for sustainment even after the program officially closes. It's not just deliver and done.
That really underscores the long-term perspective needed. Speaking of long-term, programs can last for years. Change is pretty much inevitable, isn't it? What does the change principle tell us about dealing with that?
It tells us something quite different from typical project management, actually. The change principle advises programs to basically embrace change, but always with that overall focus on realizing the program benefits.
Embrace it, not just control it.
Exactly. Programs are often change initiatives themselves, right? They exist to create change, so they need to proactively use change management to keep the components and the intended benefits aligned with shifts in maybe the company strategy or the external market, whatever's happening.
Sure.
This is a really key distinction from projects, which usually focus on keeping change managed and controlled against a set baseline.
Right, scope creep is the enemy in projects.
Kind of. For programs, it's more about adapting intelligently to deliver the optimized benefits, not just rigidly sticking to the original plan if the world changes. It's about agility at a strategic level.
That's a significant mindset shift. And to navigate all of this complexity, all this change, you need really strong leadership.
Yeah.
What does the leadership principle emphasize for program managers? What makes a good program leader?
Well, program leadership is way beyond just directing tasks. It's about inspiring, uniting the whole program team, getting everyone aligned with the program vision and connecting it to their own efforts.
So vision and inspiration.
Definitely. It also means empowering component managers, giving them autonomy but ensuring alignment, adapting leadership styles to different situations, different teams, and possessing what they call emotional, social, and cognitive intelligence.
Okay, the soft skills, which are actually hard skills.
Exactly right. Building relationships, showing empathy, demonstrating respect, and yes, even having some political savvy to influence key stakeholders, navigate the organization, and remove roadblocks for the team. It's a demanding role.
Absolutely. These principles, they really do provide a kind of compass, don't they, for navigating these complex journeys. They give you a much deeper sense of the mindset needed for success. So we have the definition of a program, we have these guiding principles. Now, how do program managers actually do this stuff in practice? What are the practical areas they need to focus on?
Right. This is where we get into the how-to. This is covered by the 6 program management performance domains. Think of these as complementary groups of related activities that really characterize the unique work of program management. And importantly, they run concurrently throughout the program's life. They aren't sequential phases.
6 domains running concurrently.
Okay, let's start with strategic alignment. This sounds absolutely fundamental. What's involved here?
It is fundamental.
Yeah.
Strategic alignment is all about making sure the program's outputs, its outcomes, deliver benefits that directly line up with the organization's strategic goals. No ambiguity.
Got to have that link.
You have to.
Oh.
Key activities here include creating the program business case. That's your economic feasibility study, the justification for why this program exists, defining the expected benefits.
Well, why?
Exactly. And then there's the program charter. This is the document, usually signed by a sponsor, that formally authorizes the program to start. And it explicitly links the program to those strategic objectives. It outlines the high-level scope, the benefits, the vision. It's the formal kickoff. Makes sense. Start with the why, get the formal go. Okay, next, stakeholder engagement. Always huge in any large initiative. How do program managers tackle this, given the complexity?
Yeah, stakeholders in a program can be numerous and varied. This domain is about first identifying and analyzing their needs, and then actively managing their expectations and communications to keep them supportive.
Managing expectations. Sounds crucial.
It is. And here's a nuance. The standard points out you can't always manage the stakeholders themselves, control them, but you absolutely can and must engage with them.
Engage, not manage. Good distinction.
Right. It involves proactive communication, really understanding their attitudes, their influence. You might use tools like a power interest grid to figure out who needs close management versus who you just need to keep informed.
Prioritizing engagement efforts.
Exactly. The goal is always to gain and maintain their acceptance of the program's objectives and benefits, especially when changes happen, because stakeholder resistance can sink a program.
For sure. Now, a new addition in this edition is the collaboration performance domain. Why the specific focus on collaboration now? What makes it so central to program management that it gets its own domain?
That's a great point. Collaboration has always been important, obviously, but elevating it to its own performance domain really highlights that it needs to be actively cultivated and managed. It doesn't just happen.
Okay, it needs deliberate effort.
Yes. It's essential because collaboration is what fosters the teamwork needed for a program to hit its objectives across all those diverse components. Remember synergy. Collaboration is how you help create it.
Right, connects back to the principle.
It does. It's about creating and maintaining that synergy across all stakeholders, internal and external, to optimize how benefits are delivered. Things that help include engagement, transparency, maybe using program information systems so everyone sees the same data. Openness, exactly. And having a change-oriented culture helps too. Here's a critical insight. Project managers often resolve complexities by managing scope tightly. But program managers, they have to actively balance the individual needs and goals of their different component projects against the overall demands and benefits of the entire program.
That's a tricky balancing act.
It really is. Sometimes what's seemingly best for one project isn't optimal for the program as a whole, and effective collaboration is really the only way to navigate those trade-offs successfully. It's about that bigger picture win.
So these domains, strategic alignment, stakeholder engagement, collaboration, and the others we didn't detail, they are the what to focus on. What about the actual how? The sort of day-to-day tasks or activities that pull it all together?
Yeah, those fall under what the standard calls program activities. These are the specific tasks done to support the program throughout its life cycle. They operate at a higher, more integrated level than typical project activities.
Okay, more zoomed out.
Right. A key one is program integration management. Think of this as the absolute core. It's the ongoing work that unifies and coordinates everything, all the components, making sure they work as one.
The master coordination function.
You could say that. Then you have activities grouped by phase, roughly, like program definition phase activities. This is upfront stuff. Assessing initial scope, costs, risks, developing that business case, and the program management plan.
Laying the groundwork.
Exactly. Then during the program delivery phase, activities focus on managing things across all components, managing change requests, communications, overall program financials, quality standards, overarching risks.
Keeping the orchestra playing in time.
Good analogy.
Yeah.
And finally, program closure phase activities. This isn't just stopping. It's formal closeout procedures, final financial reconciliation, and really importantly, archiving information and capturing lessons learned so the organization benefits next time.
It really sounds like a comprehensive, dynamic, and quite sophisticated approach. essential for managing those really complex, high-stakes initiatives that organizations rely on.
Wow, what an incredible deep dive into the world of program management. We've really seen how programs are these carefully coordinated collections of interdependent parts, projects, activities, all laser focused on delivering benefits you just couldn't get by tackling them individually. It's really about orchestrating value, isn't it?
It is, and we've uncovered those 8 guiding principles, taking a closer look at synergy, benefits realization, change, and leadership. These really shape the mindset and behaviors needed for success. And then we explored some key performance domains: strategic alignment, stakeholder engagement, and that vital emphasis on collaboration, which turned principles into practice. So for everyone listening, whether you're leading a big team, or you're part of a complex initiative, or maybe you're just trying to understand the big picture in your organization, understanding program management gives you this really powerful lens. It shows it's about so much more than just tasks. It's a coordinated strategic pursuit of value, turning strategy into reality.
Definitely. And maybe something for you to reflect on. Think about the next big organizational goal or initiative you come across. Can you see it differently now? Not just as maybe a bunch of separate projects, but potentially as a dynamic program with interdependent components striving for that collective benefit that's bigger than any single part.
Mm-hmm.
How might understanding these principles and domains we talked about change how you might approach contributing to it or even leading it? You might even spot programs that weren't explicitly called programs before.
That's a great takeaway. What stands out most to you from our deep dive today? We really encourage you to think about how these insights apply to your own work, your own understanding of your organization's objectives. And yeah, maybe you'll start seeing those programs hiding in plain sight all around you.